pirates set upon Campeche in the 1600s in such an intense way that it was hard to live here. In 1663, all the pirates in the region got together as one giant flotilla, and trust me, it's hard to organize pirates, to come together to attack Campeche. And they attacked it, they looted it, they burned it, they raped the women, they stole everything they could find. And it wasn't until 5 years later that the Spanish finally thought, okay, let's do something for those Campecheonians. Let's build a wall. This wall used to encircle the entire city. Now, much of it has been broken down because, you know, you got to build roads, and a modern city really doesn't need a giant wall to keep the pirates out anymore, for now. But anyways, it's quite amazing just looking at this wall. You can see the bits of this wall all around the city. Now it's just a ring road that goes all the way around the town. In recent years, they've put all this effort into repainting and sprucing up the city, and it's absolutely gorgeous. Let's go check it out. Campeche's fortunes have once again gone right up the scale due to offshore oil drilling, and they've plowed a lot of that money back into the city and beautifying it, repainting and fixing up old buildings, the kind of buildings you'd see in many other cities in Latin America and Central America. Yet here they just look fantastic. They look brand new, and it's like being in the middle of a Baskin & Robbins ice cream parlor. Skateboarders, make note of this. The drop on the curbs here has got to be, well, it's right up to my waist almost. It's got to be a good 3 feet. It's ollie central. Wow, man, so the city's gorgeous, eh? It's just unbelievable. It's got everything that you'd ever want in a city. I mean, in terms of it's just so beautiful. Hey, whoa, whoa, okay. Okay, you got me. I'm just gonna back away slowly. Don Julio! Don Julio! They're coming! They're coming! Piratas! Piratas! Director Mike, can I? Okay. Money. 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 Apparently one of the best things to do in Campeche is to just watch the sunset over the Malecon. So we're going to go through this giant gate in the big wall and see it. I must be vigilant. For Captain Lafitte and his pirates are in these waters. I must save the city of Campeche from disaster with the pirates. I cannot go to the fiesta even though I can hear the music. I must keep watch. So we just arrived here at an eco-village in the middle of the Calakmul Biosphere Reserve, which is in southern Mexico, in the southern end of Campeche, just north of the Guatemalan border. It's in the middle of many, many archaeological sites, very significant ones in the Mayan world, some of the most significant. So it's a great jumping off spot to go exploring those places. This Biosphere Reserve is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and they claim it's the second largest biosphere reserve in the Western Hemisphere. It's really amazing. We're just right in the middle of the jungle. This resort is very cool. All the roofs have kind of palapa hut roofs, very much like a traditional Mayan village. It's amazing. So we're going to go see the sunset from a tower. Look at the jungle. So behind me, as you can see, the sun is setting over the Calakmul Biosphere Reserve. It's a giant rainforest. It's the second largest rainforest in the Americas after the Amazon, and it's a protected rainforest, which is fantastic. The protected area goes in Mexico, and then it goes down into Guatemala, and I think a part of Belize as well. It's just beautiful, and from here, we're going to go to see Calakmul. which is actually the name of an ancient Mayan city. It was a very, very important Mayan city, and one that's somewhat seldom visited compared to many others. But apparently it's just spectacular, and it's set right inside this giant rainforest. It's going to be fantastic. So we're right in the middle of the Calakmul Biosphere Reserve. It's over 200 million hectares of protected rainforest. In this area in southern Mexico, it's just in the very southern tip of the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico, just north of Guatemala. It's medium rainforest, which is actually a forest that looks almost familiar to my Canadian eyes. There are certain things that don't, but it's not the incredibly high canopy that you find somewhat south of here in the hotter climate of Guatemala. Anyways, we're standing in the middle of one of the main centers of this city that would have been in the early stages of the city. This city existed for almost 2,000 years, and it ruled over this part of Mexico for about 500 years at its zenith of its power. The people here in Calakmul were enemies of Tikal, which is a very famous place just south of here in Guatemala, another Mayan city. They were at war for over 400 or 500 years. It's fascinating. The whole place is overgrown with trees, so you can't even really see what's around me, but I'll tell you, there are these giant pyramids and structures that are really quite impressive. They're some of the most impressive I've ever seen. We're standing in front of what they call Structure 2. It's the biggest structure that they've found so far in Calakmul. These stone stelae, you find them all around the whole place, and they found more here than at any other site in the Mayan world. They would actually have hieroglyphs and carvings all over them that would tell a story. Most of them are very deteriorated, as you can see, but archaeologists are constantly studying these and finding out more and more and more about the history of this city. The thing that I just can't believe is we're here at this incredibly huge city, 70 square mile city, like as big as any modern city in the world today. And it's just magnificent, and there's nobody else here. There's no one else here. It's unbelievable. It's such an eerie and amazing feeling to be here just basically alone in this incredible archaeological site. You'd never have this at the pyramids in Giza or Chichen Itza or places such as this. This place still remains somewhat undiscovered by the world. Here at Calakmul, again, unlike many places in the world, many ancient structures like this, you're actually allowed to climb it. And with the amount of solitude you have here and the ability to climb it, it just feels like you own the place, which is just an amazing feeling. This city was incredibly powerful. It ruled over an immense area for 1,500 years, and its zenith for 500 years. I mean, it's an amount of time that to our modern minds is hard to imagine. I mean, the United States has only been the dominant force in the world for 50 years, so it would be 10 times that long that this place ruled. It really makes you think. Wow. Holy moly. What a spectacular view. Wow. Climbing up these pyramids is a bit of work, especially considering it's about 40 degrees outside. It's a hot one. We're right in the middle of the steamy jungle. Look at that. Wow. It's a long way down. Now, a lot of people, when they come to Mexico, they think to see ancient ruins, they think of the Mayan culture or the Aztec culture, but there were also many other cultures in ancient Mexico, and one of them was the Zapotec culture. And in Mitla here, this was a Zapotec
city. In this part of Oaxaca, they ruled for like 1,000 years, basically, I guess, until the Aztecs came in and conquered them, and then they were soon after conquered by the Spanish. Tourists come here from all over the world. Mitla is a lesser known city, an ancient city, but it's really quite spectacular. Archaeologists have surmised that the different patterns on the sides of the buildings, the carvings, all represent different things. So each shape would represent the sun, the moon, different gods, the serpent, and the feathered serpent god, which was a very common god in ancient Mexican cultures. They're not exactly sure what they mean, but that's what they think. A pretty interesting thing about visiting a place like Mitla is you can actually climb onto the ruins. Most places in the world now, that's pretty verboten. So apparently what people would have to do is, because there's a sort of an altar in that direction, they would have to walk with their face to them, and they'd have to walk backwards up this thing, which is pretty treacherous. But I'm just going to do it to see what it was like. And I'm telling you, I'm sure a lot of people fell down these stairs and brained themselves. I'm going to try not to do that today. But, you know, you can imagine. It's pretty crazy, and they'd probably be like this, you know. Interesting. It'd be a tough life, tough life. Señor? Señor? Margarita? Sí? Gracias. So I'm standing on the medial base of the main pyramid at Edzna. It's actually a political pyramid. My friends, countrymen, there has been a lot of talk about me and what I have done. I will not address these issues today. I will only say that I did not do it. In spite of this, I realize that the will of the people is for new. So I will, from this time, step down as my role of governor of Edzna and pass the baton on to my worthy political opponent. It pains me to do this, but I am just a servant of the public. Political sacrifice. The amazing thing about these ruins is they're just absolutely mind-bogglingly spectacular, but no one comes here, apparently. We're about the only people in this entire place today. Nothing like Chichen Itza, which is just overrun with tourists. What you see there is every single tourist that is in this entire ancient city right now. We've only bumped into 2 other people. And the other amazing thing about this place is that you can climb up the pyramid. Most places you can't anymore, so I'm gonna go do that.
I didn't bring sneakers. I brought some flip-flops, but they were...
For little guys, they sure had tall steps.
I know.
I don't know how these little guys took these stairs all the time. Up and down, up and down. You gotta figure a lot of Mayan people died from serious falls. Another amazing thing about the city of Edzna is that the people here mastered the art of dealing with water. They created an incredible system of canals and cisterns that was able to keep water fresh for very long periods of time, which actually puts some serious doubt in the theory that the Mayan civilization collapsed because they weren't very good at agriculture, because they had built systems to bring water to this place in the driest times and to keep water and store it, thereby keeping everyone alive and wet and keeping the crops watered. So it basically just gives the lie to that particular theory of why the Mayan culture just collapsed. Still, nobody really knows why it did. It doesn't matter what kind of town you're in Mexico, they have these beautiful courtyards and main squares and cathedrals and beautiful architecture. It's bonkers. You would think that maybe it would be kind of difficult to get a cab here. It's a pretty small town up in the mountains, but I don't look around me. They're everywhere. It's easy. You just have to make sure that you don't pick that one because it's boxed in by all the other cabs. There's so many damn cabs. Within an hour or two drive of Morelia, which is the capital of the state of Michoacan, there are all kinds of things to do, lots of towns to visit, all kinds of different activities to take part in. We're in the city, or the town actually, of San Juan del Cobre. Cobre means copper in Spanish, and this whole town is known for its metalwork, its metalsmithing, but mainly for copper. And they make just about everything out of copper, and it's actually really quite amazing. There's amazing stuff here, beautiful things. A little lower, would you mind? Sweet. When I find myself enjoying time in Michoacan, I like to settle down on a patio and relax with a fine Estrella beer. It's the beer of the stars. The hotels in central Mexico are incredibly varied, and especially the boutique hotels. You wouldn't believe the difference of the kinds of places you can find here. Many of them are in these old, centuries-old buildings with furnishings that are just incredible, unbelievable, magnificent in some cases, carved by hand, made with incredible amount of workmanship. And where else would you find a circular staircase right in your room that goes up to a little balcony furnished with lovely furnishings and even your own personal fireplace? Mexico, baby! As many people know, Mexico has a pretty violent and bloody history. One of the worst periods in history for Mexico was the reign, if you like, of Porfirio Diaz. He was actually from Oaxaca, and he was a pretty vicious dictator, and apparently felt like it was cool to basically carve his own name into ancient ruins. There you can see it. It's some kind of inscription. I'm not 100% sure what it says, but basically it says something like, this is in something of the Republic of Mexico, and Porfirio Diaz, who is the Secretario of the state, has, put this inscription on this ancient monument that's been standing here for over 1,000 years. Way to go! You gotta love dictators. They're awesome. So anyways, it's the Zapotec ruins of Mitla here. They're absolutely spectacular and, amazing. And, surprise, surprise, the Spanish came along and had to build a big old church right next door. In fact, it's not right next door, it's on top of part of the ruins of Mitla. Those conquistadors, the rascals. For all you amateur treasure hunters out there, a pretty interesting fact about this place is that it's rumored, and it's legend, that somewhere underneath these ruins is an undiscovered tomb of the Zapoteca kings that's just laden with treasure. It's not often you hear about a secret treasure that's secret still, so check it out. I'd say globally it's pretty well known that Mexican people are sort of on the shorter side, generally speaking. True, but nothing like it was a couple thousand years ago. Look at this. This one's even shorter. One of the most amazing features of many of the ancient constructions in Mesoamerica is that they built all of this stuff out of stone, but they just placed each stone on top of each other, and they didn't use any kind of mortar or any kind of material in between. All of them are just placed on top of each other. And if you think about all these little stones and the way they would have to make these walls, and these have stood here through earthquake after earthquake. Oaxaca and Mitla sit on the San Andreas Fault, and they have earthquakes all the time. And these things have stood the test of time for over 1,000 years. It's astonishing.
There's always one plant they grow, one wild thing, and the roots are pushing the walls. That's what is happening on that wall that is going to collapse in a few more months or a couple of years. Okie dokie.
One of the things that always strikes me in ancient structures, the way we see it is just not the way it was originally. I mean, you can see here that this was all painted with a thick kind of glaze, and so it all would have been smooth and colored, everything. It's so interesting. Like, it's just amazing to think what these things must have looked like at the time that they were made. One of the hardest things about being a tour guide is dealing with all the cameras. Look at that. What's he do? He's a juggler. He's a camera magician.
Hey, the other one
in your hand, the silver one. No, in your hand. Sorry. It's just my screen will turn off and then...